Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Wanted to kick it off for this Taurus Gate of Power with some very good self-talk because Taurus is one of the four that rule our self-worth and self-value and self-esteem. So that one really hit home for the season. And I will make sure it's linked in the chat and in the post call goodies so we can get back to that as needed over the next 6 weeks. But that's really what time it is, y'all. So tonight we're gathered to honor the fire, which ended up being inside because of weather. I can't win, y'all. It's always beautiful the day before or the day after my scheduled time, but we're going to make the most of it. We always do. Tonight, we're going to cover the seasonal overview, the energetic support, and then we've got readings and divinations and extra guidance that we're going to go through. And I'm so grateful for those of you who could be here live with me. Thank you for helping me hold it down and set the tone for this energy. So this cross quarter, what I should start at the beginning. Most of the time, I want to remind you all about the rhythm. Winter, spring, summer, fall brings Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn time, which is very much associated with home and work and self versus other, which we all got to deal with, right? And then you look at the seasonal wheel and everyone's pretty acclimated and know about the winter, spring, summer, fall turns. But what we're gathered at is at the midpoint in between them. When we gather at the midpoint, it's the best course correcting time. It's a good check-in time. And here we're between seed and new life of spring equinox possibilities and summer solstice where they should be popping by then. So we're at this in between and we're looking at what we're cultivating, what we're creating at this time and what's coming to life. This particular season is all about fertility and conception, community, sacred union, gifts and abundance, celebration of sexuality, sensuality. We want to get in our bodies. We want to have a good experience no matter what the world is doing. We have to find ways and places and times and spaces where we could do that and actually feel this life force coming into being with us as we speak. This is the season for that, when what is going to be alive? What are you going to nurture? What are you going to invest in this year? Where are you putting your energy of time, resources, energy, the different ways you get things done, right? So we're looking at how we're going to invest further, what's showing promise and what should we invest in further, and what has run its course and we need to let it go so we can get out of the way of things that are trying to blossom, because we all got something that's trying to blossom at this moment. The other thing I like to remind y'all about this season is everything's connected. In astrology and in the shamanic astrology that I practice, everything's connected. So it's not always 12 signs, it's 6 sets of 2. Aries, Libra, Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini, Sag, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, Aquarius, and Virgo, Pisces. So they're related. Very often we turn to our opposites to try to balance out things within us. That's a very useful way to play with and learn about the signs and things. But the seasons do the same thing. Spring equinox and fall equinox are connected. Summer solstice and winter solstice are connected. Those are the 4 main ones. At these gates of power, Taurus, Scorpio, this is May and November, first week of May, first week of November, are related. So this is the life and birthing time. When we get to that first week of November, it's the ancestor time when we honor death and culminations and completions at that point. So this is what we're bringing to life at this moment. And then the other 2 gates are Leo, Aquarius, which is February and August. February is usually what we call the inspiration, the spark. After winter solstice conception point, we go 6 weeks into that, and then something starts sparking, and we start to think about what we start to feel into what we're going to manifest for that year. And by equinox, we know the seeds we want to plant. And here we are at the gate of which of those seeds are going to really be worth your investment of time, energy, and resources. That's the way we want to look at that. And also know that whatever we put in motion this season will culminate in that first week of November, and we'll get to see the results of our labor in many ways at that time. And so we look at the season and then we look at the chart for the sun's movement there, because winter, spring, summer, fall are basically when the sun gets to a certain point. 0 degrees, Aries, Libra, 0 degrees, Cancer, Capricorn are the regular seasons. When we're doing the cross quarters and the gates of power, it's 15 degrees where the sun is right in the middle of the sign. So right now we've got the sun in Taurus close to Uranus in Taurus in our 3rd house of our thinking and our mind and our concepts of all kinds of things, the way we process life, or even the way we process information. And Chiron in Aries has slipped in there too. So we're definitely healing some consciousness along the way. We're healing that connection to our individual selves, but all the juju is really gathered up in this Pisces Aries zone, packed in the second house, which says that this season has got to stay central on your values and your priorities. That's why I really like that video of Tony Jones is the affirmations queen. We've used lots of her videos. They're really good to go back to. And that one came right on time, as always, right? When Spirit's sending you messages, they'll send them all kinds of ways to get to you. And so we are developing this vision of the reality you want to live over the next 7, 14, 21, 28 years. That's Saturn. But think 7 to start, right? And you're developing the vision of the life path that you're going to walk for the next 20 years. Think of that in 5-year increments. So let's say the next 5, right? And Ceres is only in Pisces every 5 years, which means she's going to finish up in Pisces and then move into Aries and really start a big cycle of nurturing and nourishing the self, the individual. Y'all know me, I'm the individual server. I think if the individuals get it together, the globe will be okay. But then we have world servers like Yeye who are changing the world in these huge, deep ways, deep and permanent ways. So all my tools are here to support you, the individual. And so a lot of this focus is where I will take that. So the nurturing and nourishing of the new vision that's rooted in your own value system, it's rooted in what's important to you. And again, in life, we don't want to be feeding death. We don't want to be living that way, right? That's patriarchy. That's the out there in the world, and Western culture is all death oriented. That's not what Earth is about. That's not what feminine energy is about. It's about the life. And this is the season to celebrate it and remember and get back in your body where you're supposed to be having pleasurable experiences, right? So just know that that Pisces is at the very end. We're wrapping up because the month of May is when Saturn for sure moves on into Aries, and North Node's going to be there for a while. So we're grounding the first 5 years of a new path there. And Ceres, like I said, is helping us develop the vision of what we want to nurture and nourish within ourselves that matters to you, the individual. So that's a lot. But all the Aries energy at this moment, Neptune has already hit Aries, which is first time in 165 years, really close to Venus. They're 1 degree apart. So we have some really good energy for creativity, for all my artists and stuff. You all are being so activated right now. And not even just you, because I've got some creative ideas and things that keep sparking and popping around here too. So we have that access, but it's also because of Neptune kind of otherworldly, and we can bring in our spirit team to guide what we're doing and to help validate that this is what we want to manifest and that this is the way we want it to look and all that kind of thing. Because again, we're still developing the vision. But these little energies that have moved into Aries say it's time to start baby stepping into where you want to be, right? This is the beginning of that, taking those steps that are rooted in your values and priorities. And Mercury's finishing up its retrograde there, coming forward again, but still in Aries. So we're initiating new ideas, or we want to try some new things or try some things in new ways and switch it up and feel what suits you here and now. Because we also have that Venus cycle is an 8-year cycle. So it's been 8 years of running a certain identity and purpose in a certain direction, or moving in a certain direction and having a certain goal that may have run its course, and now you're rebirthing either a new level of that same goal. Like a lot of us are still dedicated to the work we're dedicated to, but we're definitely going to a new level and into new territory. So we want to be mindful in new beginnings and new parts of cycles like that, like Aries being the new beginning. It's just like the baby. We want to nurture and comfort and keep close and protect the root and the baby shoots that are coming up, because if they get stomped on, they can die like that, right? So we don't want to crush the new beginnings that are trying to get stronger at their root. We want to give that some attention as well. And like I said, Chiron's getting there. It's still got a little ways to go in Aries as we heal the self and heal the identity issues and things like that, where we have that, what do we want to say, healthy ego strength, right? Where you know who you are and you know what you want. That's healthy ego, right? Knowing who you are and what you're doing. Now, as for the Gate of Power, it's the Moon and Mars are both in Leo, across from the rising that has Pallas and Pluto in Aquarius. So here we're bringing in even deeper things around your heart and wanting to, let's say, participate in what you care about, what gets you excited or passionate and activates that heart center. And is it really in alignment with your authentic self? If this is where you're headed and you're interacting, because this is 7th house of relationships and partnerships, how you're doing that. And Mars is just barely there, like minutes away, literally 4 minutes away. So Mars has stayed under under the surface a little bit. So we're still working on getting our energy back, right? It's been 6 to 9 months of some serious personal planets being backwards. And so we've all kind of felt held back by the elbows, like, I'm trying to go, I want to take a step, I want to do this. And things weren't really working. Now that's opening up. So you want to, like I said, prepare yourself for more energy and vitality to move through, prepare your life for more things that you want to manifest and things like that, and create space for it. But don't go into any interactions that don't feel like love, that don't feel like love, light, and truth. Basically, that's that shining leadership aspect of Leo that we want to activate, that authenticity that people respond to because it's magnetic, right? But on the Aquarius side, ruling the first house, Palace is your unique genius and your healing capacity and your perspective of the ability to like see things from different angles. So you're looking at your unique contribution in new ways. What does that unique contribution really look like? What you trying to really do with it? How has it evolved to a new level? And how has that allowed you to feel more grounded in it? Like usually I'm talking about this in readings, and my example is the astrology. You know, for me to find the unique contribution or to find my unique voice in this sea of voices, right? There's so many astrologers out there doing it for free. Why would anyone pay me? I had to find that sense of confidence to do it this way, which I tuned into cycles and patterns. So that is my specialty, or my authentic, where I'm coming from has to do with cycles and patterns and how we can co-create, but we can also break negative patterns and set some new ones in motion. So we want to think outside the box for the new identity and purpose. We want to only do interactions with others that feel rooted in love. And we want to work with new consciousness, or let's say raise our consciousness to have a better physical experience or the manifestation. Like sometimes I do a lot of what if thinking, right? What if all the bills are paid, all the needs are met, everything's done? What do you do with your time and energy? If you weren't working on survival mode, which Taurus Scorpio activates, what would you be doing with your resources and how would you live your day to day? The closer we can get to that, even in a monetary system, we should be able to find a way to find that passion and power and joy in creativity. And knowing that we really can't control out there, you can only control in here. So shifting in here is what shifts out there, right? We start inside first. But this chart does have the 4 corners of fixed energy. And when we talk about the seasons, we also say winter, spring, summer, fall is action oriented. There's lots of choices and changes and movement and things to do that people are familiar with energy speeding up, right? What I want you to get familiar with is the month before and the month after. When you do the month before, it's always Gemini, Sag, and Virgo, Pisces, which are processing times. And so when we're thinking about what time is it in the year, in the solar year, is it time to be processing, or is it time to be making choices and decisions? Or when we get to the month after, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, it's the fixed energy. So we're either anchoring permanently or releasing permanently with this season. So this season is coming out of the Aries choices and decisions you just came up with about your own life and about your own desire nature and how you get things done. Your sacred masculine is how you negotiate on your own behalf, get your ideas out in the world, and hold good boundaries. So we had to recalibrate all that for this new level, right? There's a new level. And in order to move through here, now based on any changes that you've just been through in the last 6 weeks, now you're going to either anchor permanently what you want to bring in, or you're going to release permanently what's done and dead and ready to go. And so the rhythm becomes process, choose, anchor. Process, choose, anchor. We do our processing, mental, emotional, spiritual processing. And if we take the time to do that, which not everybody does, then you make better choices. And then when you're making your choices and changes, you're doing that with clarity because you've done your proper processing. And it's not always just processing. It's also what I call integration, where everything that you've sort of gathered for the last 6 weeks gets integrated in a way that can support and serve you. That's what we really want. And then once you make choices and changes, that's when we get to anchoring or releasing so that things can go forward. And let me see here. Now I think we will dive into our energetic support. So let's start with the moon. This is our energetic support essentially for May 1st to June 22nd, which is right now till summer solstice. And this is our little 6-week period where we're going to go through the Taurus Scorpio lunation and the Gemini Sag lunation. And then we're going to get to summer solstice and move into Cancer energy. So for this 6 weeks, the Taurus Scorpio always brings, first of all, the new moons, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini this year, which is last month, this month, and next month, are all super new moons. Supermoons are when the sun, moon, and earth get in a stronger alignment and a more exact alignment. And then the pulls on the tides are stronger. That means our waters in our bodies, our emotions, our feelings, everything's a little more intense. So right now, with it being the new moon, supermoons, it's intense new beginnings. So we're in new territory and it's still really intense. So we want to be mindful of that. And these new beginnings are rooted in your new identity, new values, and new thinking that are coming about like right now. As we come out of all those retrogrades, as we come out of Mars resetting, Venus resetting, Mercury resetting, and then the big boys doing what they do, we are in this position with the moon. We work on our internal and our kind of day-to-day rhythms. So this is the time to be tapping into your creative process and what you want to manifest and build in this year. That's what Taurus is all about, that creative builder part of us. And everyone's got it somewhere. And if you have planets there, then you have lessons to learn and lessons to teach there as well. And it's the new beginning in your Taurus sector. And for those of you who know your chart, and in the post-cult goodies, I'll tell you where it is for those who don't know. Taurus section is where the initiations are happening, but the Scorpio section is where the integrations are happening and where the midpoint in the year is. So think about what you have to clear out. With that Scorpio full moon, we're going to release certain karmic debris, karmic energy, emotional debris, things that are really deep down in our soul. We're clearing anything that's blocking that creativity and that building part that we want to go right? We don't want anything subconsciously undermining us, right? That dark part of our world where we kind of push things aside and don't honor and acknowledge them. You know, shadow hides gifts and wounds, right? It's both. So we don't want to neglect our shadow work during this month. This is the time to really dig into your self-value and self-worth and make sure that everything is matching. Right. So when we're looking in the Taurus season, it's our creature comforts and personal security. It's where you're comfortable physically. So think about how that's going right now and what kind of adjustments you might need to make over the next 6 months, because then when we get to the Scorpio new moon 6 months from now, we'll be conceiving a whole new vision, right, at that point. But here we're in the new beginnings of the garden. So what do you want to grow together this year? And as we go through that, I consider Taurus Scorpio body and soul, right? I feel like that gets very, very personal with Taurus Scorpio. It's how we create our resources and how we share resources. So it is very personal. And then Gemini Sag brings in our thinking and our consciousness and the higher and lower mind that we deal with all the time, and our ideas, thoughts, and concepts. And again, coming out of old cycles, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. Like there's so many cycles rebooting right now, y'all, that we could tap into. We need to be thinking in new ways and cultivating new wisdom and consciousness, or paying attention to how much we've actually learned and earned over the last 10 years of education that we've been through, right? So these are still, that brings that Gemini moon is a processing moon, right? So we're processing and integrating the ideas that are going to work for the new year. So on the lunar side, we're clearing in the Scorpio Sag world, which means I always call Scorpio raw truth and Sag higher truth, right? So we go down into the soul to conceive anew, and then we come out with Sag energy to create a new vision of some kind. And so where we're letting go of old karma, old consciousness, old beliefs that no longer serve. What used to be true may not be true today. It doesn't make it good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just no longer true. So let's look at the story we're telling this year and how that's unfolding. And is it really being guided by your steps the way you want it to be? And now for Mercury, we're free of the retrograde for this season, but we are going to move through May 10th. It moves into Taurus. May 25th, it moves into Gemini, and June 8th, it moves into Cancer. When it hits Leo, June 26th, which we'll be talking at summer solstice, so we'll talk about that then, but Leo's where it's going to retrograde. So I always say what we do preceding those things, as Mercury moves through Taurus, we're going to, again, prune certain ideas that may or may not be worth investing in further, or bring those ones that are worthy of further investment to the front and center, right? And then as Mercury moves through Gemini, you start sparking the ideas. How do I share this? Where do I network? Where's my support team? How am I going to spread the word? And how do I activate these new ideas so that they go get out into the world? And then Cancer, Mercury in Cancer is about thinking with your feelings. I'm big on that. And feeling what's necessary in certain moments, but also processing your ideas through your feelings. Like, does this feel right? Am I really making the right decision at this place and time? That's where our thinking mind processing will be for the whole season. It'll be developing those ideas and then grounding them in something that can feed you and support others as well. And then Venus is still in her process for a minute until June 5th. She's still in her process. So that's why I said May is kind of a gradual awakening, and then June, new life really can pop. At this point, she just re-entered Aries April 30th. So she's back in that zone now. She did this retrograde in Aries. Last time she did that was 2017. So start thinking about the last 8 years of values and priorities and relationships and finances and how that's gone for you and how you can get back to what's important to you. With Aries, it's always you, the individual. So we're dialing that back in and resetting the value systems according to what's important to you. And then she'll get into Taurus June 5th to July 4th, almost a whole month. And that's when she's real creative. That's when we can activate. And I think we're already doing it with the season, is beautifying things, beautifying yourself, beautifying your environment. I hope to get out there in the yard, but the weather has been nutty, and work in my garden. But Venus gives us a focus in 2 different ways that I like to point out. One is essence and vibration and frequency. So what's the new level that you want to experience there? And the other one is more literal. Like I said, creature comforts, personal security. How is that going? And how has that been reset in a big way? So there's small ways. When she retrogrades every 18 months, we look at ourselves and we recognize that we've shifted in certain ways. But every 8 years, I tell people, if you stay in a job, in a house, in a neighborhood, in a community, whatever, 8 years, you renegotiate. And this is the time to do it with the lens, looking through the lens of what's best for you, the individual. That's that. And I know it sounds crazy and some people will call you selfish, but that's not what it is. It's self-preservation, and it's making sure that you're set up right so that when you go to interact with other folks, it works better. It works better. So Venus helps us focus on that feminine, also on our magnetics. So what are you magnetizing and repelling naturally? And how does your electromagnetic field maybe need a little bit of a calibration? And Mars is still in his process. As of April 17th to June 17th, he's in Leo. So pretty much through our season, he's going to be finishing up in Leo. Doesn't hit Virgo until June 17th. So this is still another way where we're getting back in touch with ourselves and our authenticity and what's really important to you and how you want to shine your light. How do you want to be received and how do you want to be seen? What do you want to be known for? That's evolved too. You want to choose that consciously as well. And Mars is the actions and choices planet. So in Leo, the actions and choices are rooted in the heart. Again, things got to feel right. And we want to be super creative, right? And super authentic and unique, like from your unique perspective. Even though we might all be looking at the same thing, we all have our own unique perspective of it. And Mars is also, these are all personal. This is where the personal planets have really been rearranging us internally so that in the next 6 months of the year, with the remaining half of the year, we're going to get out and do some other things. And again, if you're fortified, if you're strong, if you're balanced, if you're clear on who you are and what you want and what your values are and your yeses and nos, and you have that clarity, then things are going to go much smoother. Jupiter is finishing up in Gemini. Once in 12 years, he spent pretty much the last year, June to June, in Gemini. So this has been expanding our Gemini zone, expanding those ideas, making us think bigger, even if we didn't want to or didn't know how to. Jupiter's come through that zone and been like, you have to expand this. And wherever Gemini is in your chart is where that expansion or the blessings or the benefits that Jupiter brings showed up. And I can testify, mine is 7th house. So partnerships, collaborations have really expanded for me over the last year with Jupiter there. Now it's going into Cancer, which is 8th house, which is more ancestor work for me and things like that. So wherever your Cancer is where it's headed. It's going to hit Cancer June 9th. So we still have the rest of May, first week of June, to finish up Gemini and to clarify the new vision, the new story, the new dream, whatever the improvements have been that you're going to go forward and anchor. Let's look at what improvements came to your ideas and thinking or to your consciousness and the expansions you had there. Who went back to school? Who got certified in this, that, or the other? What have you learned in the last year? That's the biggest thing Jupiter and Gemini does. It activates us to want to learn more. And we have been voraciously learning, right? And when it gets into Cancer, it goes from air to water, from thinking to feelings. It's going to expand our Cancer zone for a whole year, June to June. So we're preparing for that expansion as we speak. And then Saturn is the big one. And I do have backup, like there's an audio, video, and a post. I don't even think it's that long. I want to say 19 minutes. But Saturn moving into Aries is huge, y'all. I want to say I called it rooting the flame, reclaiming your fire, and activating new forms. That's what Saturn and Aries can bring for us. But it also brings this reality check around your identity and purpose. Is this real? Is it solid? Is it strong? Is it viable? Is it sustainable? Saturn brings the serious business and the hard questions and the reality check that we need to really look at. And so it's going to do both. It's going to show us where we're weak in our Aries zones, but it's also going to show us where we're strong and where we've put a few bricks in that foundation already. If you're old enough, you're stronger for the years that Saturn has done this. The last time it was in Aries was 96 to 99. So that whole zone of that part of your chart, Saturn's going back through there again, for those of us old enough to remember that far back. But it's definitely time to define your terms in all new ways and to claim a new path for yourself and claim a new reality based on what you need and what you want, your desires and your needs. That's what Saturn and Aries is going to make everyone very present. The other thing that Saturn and Aries is not so good for is kind of bucking with authority, right? You want to do what you want to do, and the masses or the general consensus or the powers that be want to herd you like cattle another way. We ain't doing that. So everybody get with your spirit team, start checking in with how to hold your own, because the big part of Saturn and Aries is if you can take care of yourself and handle your business, then nobody has to handle it for you. Right? If you are responsible and proactive on your own behalf, then nobody else can victimize you or do things to you. So there is this kind of push-pull between I want to do it myself and I still want to be part of a society and a community and whatnot. But you have to, this is the direction we're headed. It's sovereign individuals as a part of a communal whole, like whatever communities you contribute to, you're bringing your essence, you're bringing your individual essence there, and it matters. Now, the thing about Saturn this year is only from now, May 24th, to September 1st is it in Aries. So that's our little snapshot, heads up. This is your, what do we call it? If it was a retrograde, I'd call it pre-shadow, but it's what is introducing you to what's about to be born. So during June, July, August to September 1st, the next couple of months, you're going to start seeing where the reality that's happening and then the reality you want and the reality that you deserve, there's going to be all this stuff coming to light. And because it's a new beginning, we can't say for sure how it's all going to go, but how you start is how you're going to finish. So if you start in a grounded, organized Saturn way and you follow step by step and do what you're supposed to do, handling yourself and making sure your container is tight, then things go so much better. But then come September, it's going to hit Pisces for its real final movement through there. And that's where we finalize the vision that we want to spark and manifest and live into in this next 2 years of Aries, because Saturn does it for 2.5 years. We're just getting a few months here and a few months there, and then it's going to be a solid 2 years. So think about the reality that's initiating for you. Aries is always the new beginning, no matter how we slice it, right? So reality, purpose, definitions, containers, foundations, structures that have run their course over the last 7, 14, 21, or 28 years. That's the Saturn cycle. And look at how you're ready to rebirth it and redefine your terms in new ways because of your age and stage, because Saturn has to do with our maturity as well. So we look, everyone, 20s is different from 30s, is different from 40s, is different from 50s. So we look at the age and stage we're in to see where our focus really should be. But Saturn's good for this, y'all. If you want to be independent like I do, and I have lived with a Saturn in Aries, so I'm having my Saturn return. Anyone with Saturn in Aries is having their Saturn return. So I definitely definitely recommend you read the post or listen to the article when you get a chance, because this is big. This is a big new beginning that can be very literal if we're willing to let go of the past and really move into the new. Now, Uranus, which is the change agent, who comes along to wake us up and crack us out of our old containers, is finishing up in Taurus until July 7th. So it'll still be in Taurus come summer solstice. So we'll probably talk about its final moves then. But for now, just know that we have already spent 6 or 7 years looking at how technology in the body, that's been the biggest one that I've seen, in how we're having to adjust physically to these frequencies and these different things going on in technology and electronics, and Uranus ruled things, right? Electricity. So we had to get back in the body, and we learned the value of Mother Earth, how we can't be just digging up in her any old kind of way all day, every day. She doesn't get any recovery time with this capitalist system or whatever, Western culture, all of it. She doesn't get a break. Like when we had COVID and everybody took a break, I swear to God, I think if they did a no-fly day, 1 day per quarter would be 4 days a year. They still got 361 days to make money. Earth started to recover immediately. So there's ways that we've been awakened that we can't go back to sleep on where that's concerned. And how we use our resources and how precious they are. That's been a big message of Uranus and Taurus. But honey, all I can tell you is ground what you can. Because when it hits Gemini, it's on and popping, and all this technology stuff is going to get deeper. AI is going to blow up. It's going to be insanity for those who want to be in the body. So I'm saying get as grounded and strong and protected with your actual literal physical boundaries. So I don't know about y'all, but I turn off these computers at night and everything gets turned off. The Wi-Fi, everything is off, because I just don't believe in that kind of ongoing all the time communication being on all the time. But when Uranus hits Gemini, it's going to be so electrical and such fast change, right? There's going to be this fast change in the world that we're going to have to deal with. So again, the better we can do personally, then the better we'll do socially and collectively as well. And Neptune, the spiritual warrior, has been activated as it stepped into Aries for the first time in 165 years. So that one has a big post of its own as well, and replays that you all can play with to go deeper. But in general, we are activating the spiritual warrior because things are more invisible, and technology and whatever. Like we said, the next level is telepathy. So we want to practice that as well. But we are learning to work in the spiritual realms to have our physical realms work out better. Does that make sense? If you're working with your spirit team and you're clear about, or let's say capable, or you're practicing getting better at jumping timelines or moving through between dimensions, jumping between 3D and 5D, that's all what's going to be necessary to survive, to protect yourself. You need your spirit team around you for the next several years. And Neptune goes for 14. It's going to be in Aries for 14 years. So on that call, I actually went on this word thing, because y'all know I'm a wordsmith. I like to play with language. And it was like spiritual warrior, spiritual activism, spiritual tactics, it was spiritual strategy. It was spiritual everything, y'all, because if we go at it from that angle, I think we're going to have a lot more success than if you try to go headstrong Aries way. I'm just going to power through and make this happen and will it into being, which Aries is fully capable of. Then, you're going to have mixed results, let's just say. I want them to be good, but I don't know how good they'll be if you force things. We want to allow more than force. And so Neptune is bringing in the new dream. And the new dream in your Aries department is what's being born now. But again, it's a long, slow cooking dream. It's a 14-year long-term thing that you'll want manifest by the time it hits Taurus. So that's where we're activating, we're initiating, we're doing new things in Aries. But once it gets to all the planets, once they get to Taurus, then we get to really ground them and make them stable. So right now it's like experiment and be open and receptive to doing things a new way to just see if it works. I'm one of them that I'll do it. I'll try it. Didn't work. Okay, let's try this. Nope, that didn't work. All right, let's try this. That didn't work. I keep going till I find what works, y'all. But some people I know try and fail and give up. And I don't want to encourage that. That's not a good way, especially with Aries, because that's the other thing I tell people with strong Aries. I'm like that too. You're good at getting things started, but someone else needs to maintain it. Someone else needs to keep it going. So there's that gift of Aries being the spark to activate us to new action and new choices. But then we know that work is going to come behind it to have to ground it, to make it real, or to make it be of service the way we need it to. So there's a lot there. The ladies, I like to touch base with them, is Juno's been retrograding through Scorpio Sag. So how we do commitment and intimacy in particular has definitely been getting an upgrade. Now she passes through every 4 to 5 years, but retrograde, I don't even know. I don't have it written here. I think I might have it in the article post on my blog, but it's been a while, y'all, since she's done it here, where she's leaning into how do you do partnership, intimacy in particular, in your Scorpio and Sag departments. So how does that unfold for you? How do you interact? And what are you believing to be true about your intimate partnerships or your personal partnerships, and how they feed in what we call conscious equal partnership? We want it to be reciprocal and balanced in that way. But when we get to Scorpio, it's karmic. And when we get to Sag, it's consciousness. So what are you believing around those things that's getting a little bit of a cleanup or getting a check-in of some sort? Because that's what the retrograde does. Sirius is in Aries and going back and forth in Aries. So that's a big deal. Like we said, in the chart for May 5th, it's Pisces, but it's at 26. So it's not going to be long. When she hits Aries, May 16th, she's going to retrograde in August, go direct in November. And then I usually write when it's going to hit Taurus, but sometime after that, it's usually like a 9-month process for these ladies. When they retrograde, it's a 9-month baby we have it. And that's real. So Sirius, how you nurture yourself, how you nourish yourself, how you take care of yourself. We've already said that self-care and self-love is really up for the last 6 months. It's like, if we don't take care of ourselves, none of the dreams are going to work. None of the plans are going to work. None of them are going to, it's not going to be sustainable. Even if it starts to work, it won't be sustainable because we didn't do this part. So be mindful that that reset of what used to feed you may not feed you anymore. What used to excite you may not excite you anymore. And we want to be open to trying something new, to find what that is now at this new level of consciousness, at this new level of maturity, wherever you're at. Sirius is that great mother within you that needs to take care of yourself. And she's leaning on Aries. So it really is all about you and your desires and your needs at this moment. And again, if you anchor all that, then going out to interact with other people gets a lot easier too. Pallas is doing her thing, long-term retrograding in Aquarius. So we're also, I think, this one feels like we are looking at our new purpose and identity, whatever that may be, that's emerging at this time. Your unique contribution being evolved is evolving at this time, let's say. And it's like, all right, we got all this me stuff. We got all this stuff going on around you, the individual. But with Aquarius, it's the community and the world and the greater good kind of thing. So how are your ideas that serve you going to be helpful to the community or the world? And we can do it that way without exhausting ourselves, without wearing our systems down by being so outer focused or social collective focused. We don't want to do that. It's like, what's your unique contribution? And as you contribute this little piece, it makes the world better. Let's put it that way. If I had to define mine, I'd say helping you all with cycles and patterns so that you can break the negative ones and set some good ones in motion, or co-create with the cycles as they reset and things like that. That would be my unique contribution. But I also think it helps the world, the more conscious we can be about our own energies, looking through our own blueprint of what actually works for you, the individual. That's the other thing. Everyone's a unique spark. So when we look at your blueprint, that's how we get that information on how to work it. And so look at how you've been feeding and taking care of yourself and how you've been partnering with others, intimate or otherwise. Bring that unique contribution out. And then Vesta's been digging up in Scorpio. So Vesta's you, the sacred individual, and where we focus sometimes to the exclusion of other things. And so we're looking at, where are we? What are we conceiving? What is coming out of old creations? Like, if we say karma, it doesn't necessarily mean bad karma, but the fruits of the past choices is what karma is. So looking at how you can get back to your soul self and honor your soul self. Again, if we're too other directed or ripping and running in social collective or stuck in our computers and technology, and we're not in our bodies and we're not in our souls, then Vesta's going to be like, hold up, I got to raise my hand. What's going on with your soul? So we're still being pushed and prodded in different different ways to stay in touch with the soul level. And so that is our energetic support. I only have a few activations, not even. I just want to put on your radar. As the sun and Mercury move through Taurus right now, anything's moving through Taurus, is T-squaring Pluto in Aquarius and Mars in Leo. Pluto and Mars are our lower will and higher will. It's deeper. It's more into your individual, but it's also that soul level again being activated. Leo Aquarius is heart and mind, making that connection between your head and heart. We always say the head can present the ideas and possibilities and options and choices, but your heart has to sign off on it as this is what feels right to me. And so we're looking at this push-pull between what our soul wants and what our individual person wants, and trying to find that balance in the middle. And when there's a T-square, there's energy, and really it's a grand square because there is stuff in Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo Aquarius. All four are activated. So I probably didn't say this full on in the beginning, but these are the different aspects of self-love and self-worth and self-value that keep coming up in different ways and different levels. Is, Leo's that authentic self where you just feel comfortable in your own skin. Aquarius is that unique contribution. Taurus is your creature comforts and personal security, like what you feel your worth in your clothes and house and food and quality nutrient and quality intimacy. We feel worthy of certain things, and we're trying to upgrade that worthiness too, by the way. And Scorpio's that power and creativity. So even if you're not focused on your sex life, when Scorpio comes around, it does activate deep creativity and again, deep soul work. So we have all four corners kind of, again, they're activated in the chart, they're activated in the sky, they're activated right now for us to redefine our terms and to really claim what's real. With Mercury and Sun moving through there, it's these little awakenings that are happening along the way. Like, this is my value, this is my priority, this is what's important to me. But now I got to look at how it looks to other people, how it's received by other people, how does it serve the community or the culture in whatever way. What else is happening? What are the reverberations from your choices, from where you're starting out at this new level? What are going to be the reverberations out of that? So that was the big quote unquote activation going on. So now I'm going to go ahead and share screen because I think I figured out that you will be able to see the cards better this way. So we have divinations and we have a reading. The divinations are what we do for every season for guidance. And the reading is a seasonal reading that I offer. I do the community reading, but you all can get it for yourselves individually. Here's our divinations reading. So this is the guidance for the Taurus Gate. Okay, so now we're really going to trip y'all. I need you all to confirm and validate, but everything that came up was body related, which is very Taurus. I'm not surprised. And I had to go with it because this deck has all kinds of things. There's probably only a half a dozen body things in here, and we pulled 4 of them. So this is where we look at the gates of power too, at least in my world. I play with it this way a lot, is if we're at the midpoint, we're looking at what we need to purify, heal, restore, and fortify. These are just 4 little points I get on all the time to just check in and reset. It's a good reset. So we're purifying the respect for your physical body, which brings up detox, rejuvenate, and relax. That's this one. We'll roll through them really fast, and then I'll come back and do them one at a time. The guidance for navigating the current healing, whole self-health, natural therapies, balance, Ayurveda. There's all kinds of whole self-health out there, but that's one of them. And then navigating the current restoration, treat your body well, exercise, meditate, massage. And for fortification, move your body, dance, breathe, flow. So this is all in preparation, I think, for more action, more activity that's coming June, July, August. This is really deep, y'all. So for our purification, this one is the Ancestor Spirit Oracle. And we like this one because it has different cultures. Every single card is from a different culture. This one is the Finnish culture. And we say shared with family members and friends, and also used as a birthing space. The sauna has been an integral part of Finnish culture for thousands of years. In a traditional sauna ritual, Finns hold a vita, a branch of silver birch, and gently beat themselves to relax their muscles, increase circulation, and soothe insect bites. A sauna is a place for detoxing, relaxing, and rejuvenating the body and mind. In addition to cleansing, saunas housed religious ceremonies and thus had rules similar to those of a church. In folklore, the sauna is home to the sauna elf, I love this, a spirit who looks after the sauna, protects it from fire and damage, and offers special protection for women and babies. The sauna elf is said to warn the owner of danger or if something is not right. A sauna elf will only show themselves when they want to be seen, and only someone with a clear and open mind could even perceive them. If an elf feels disrespected, they could get angry, behave badly, and bring bad luck. People keep on good terms with their sauna elf and enjoy their blessings by leaving out food, water, and special offerings, just like we do for the ancestors. The ancestors speak. It's time to pay more attention to your physical surroundings. This is for purification, y'all. Keep that in the back of your mind. Both your body and your environment where you live and work. Your mortal body is just as important as your spiritual energy. It is important to look after the vessel that carries your soul, Ashe. Consider how you contribute to your health and well-being. Also look at the energy where you live and work. Create a sacred space so you can go home and relax and recharge. The divinatory meaning says attend to your physical, emotional, and mental space. Like a buildup of dust, toxins, thoughts, ideas, and feelings can accumulate and start to dull your energies. Create a bubble in your routine where you can process and release stress, emotions, or physical impurities. Sweat it out in a sauna or with a run or walk in the fresh air. Notice what you are consuming and limit the processed foods, chemicals, or negativity that you are taking in. A cleansing diet or skin treatment will have benefits for the whole self, which is true. So our purification starts there. The healing starts with Vedic culture, natural therapies, balance, and Ayurveda. In Vedic tradition, soma was a sacred drink that was stolen from the gods and gifted to humans by Anji, the fire god. Does someone else know how to say that right? Soma was prepared in sacred ritual and consumed by the Vedic priests for stimulation and to give them spiritual inspiration, wisdom, and courage. Drinking soma blessed gods and goddesses with immortality, and consumption by humans was said to have the same effect. Soma had a key place in ritual as attested by the many references to it in the Vedic texts, the oldest of the Vedic texts. It is associated with the god of sacrifice who shares the same name, Soma. However, soma wasn't the only natural medicine of its time. Ayurvedic medicine, developed on the Indian subcontinent during the Vedic period, was used to balance people's bodies, minds, and spirits. Like all the Vedas, it is believed that the sacred Ayurvedic texts were given directly to the holy priests from the gods. The texts were passed on for generations as part of a rich oral tradition before they were written down in around 500 BCE. Ayurvedic therapies use complex herbal compounds, minerals, and metal substances. Looks at the whole person and treats an individual by connecting them to elements of life, food, and body. The ancestors say, have a look at your whole self. Have you felt sluggish or out of balance? Have you been craving a certain type of food or drink? Be conscious of everything you're putting in your body, including food, ideas, images, and breath. Ashe. You are what you consume. Be more aware of what you choose to put into your body. Make choices for your wellness. The divinatory meaning says focus on refining your diet. You may need to add, avoid, or moderate a food or food group. Each person's body reacts to food and drinks in its own way. Only you can determine what is the best diet for you, and you can only do this by paying attention to your whole self. Tiredness, headaches, pain, stomach issues, or something else that you have accepted as quote unquote normal can be improved or alleviated by a change in diet. This card is prompting you to take charge of your health by making a change and creating wellness. So this is all very Taurus related as well. The restoration is the Thai culture. Get a massage, exercise, meditate. Thai culture was influenced by Buddhism from the 12th century. Their holistic approach to living well and avoiding illness included physical activity, meditation, diet, herbal medicines, and massage. Thai massage combines Ayurvedic principles, acupressure, and assisted yoga positions. The technique is based upon energy lines in and along the body, and the idea is that these energy lines are responsible for balancing and energizing the physical, mental, and emotional processes in the bodies. So for those of you who don't know, they're called meridians in the way I learned it. And I used to get a massage from an old teacher, was a body worker, and he taught astrology and everything. But he was the only one that ever could put his hands over my body, not touching my body, and move those meridians, move the energy through them, down one and up the other, and down one and up the other without touching me. It was crazy, y'all. That's what they're talking about, though. So I have had the experience, not often. There's a very gifted body workers out there, though. It is believed that this practice was used to treat Buddhist monks and nuns to ease sore muscles after hours of sitting in the lotus meditation pose. Massage is mentioned in the earliest surviving Buddhist scriptures. The practice of Thai massage was honored and preserved by Buddhist monks who passed down the information from one master to the next, and also through medical texts that were carved in stone. Deep breath. The ancestors say, nurture your whole self and look after your physical body. People often think that they don't have enough time to take care of themselves, but it is about making the time so that you have more energy for yourself and others. Start caring for your body, heart, and mind to avoid tiredness or becoming disconnected from your spirit and energy source. Okay, source energy is so critical. Enjoy a massage, sign up for a yoga class, or add a suitable activity to your weekly or daily routine that will contribute to your wellness. Your muscles will benefit from the exercise, and afterwards, your energy will flow better and you will feel re-energized. Divinatory meaning says this card may be a sign for you to learn massage, practice yoga, or engage in a therapeutic activity. As you become healthier and more energized, you will be able to help others by passing on your know-how. If you already do teach yoga or provide healing massage to others, this card is a confirmation that you're on the right track. Keep up the good work. Fortification. Movement is key for our bodies, y'all. Polynesian culture, we love. The Polynesian explorers journeyed long distances over water before settling in the Hawaiian Islands around 400 CE. They brought livestock, plants, and a culture rich with ceremonial song and dance. Yes, they did. Over generations, the settlers developed a distinct culture of their own. Unique to the Hawaiian Islands, hula is a temple dance dedicated to the gods, goddesses, and village chiefs. Usually accompanied by song, chant, and musical instruments, hula was divinely gifted to the indigenous Hawaiians to connect them with their deities, their land, and their history. Ashe. Hula begins with ritual blessings, prayers, singing, and chanting to honor the goddess Laka, the patron of hula and the goddess of the forests and plants. The ceremonial dancers were extremely dedicated as theirs was an important role in the community and required rigorous physical and spiritual training. The ancestors say you are encouraged to ground your spiritual endeavors through breath and body work. Your physical body needs your attention. Try regular low-impact exercises such as yoga, swimming, dancing, or Tai Chi. That will improve coordination, build muscles, strength, and help you focus on your breathing. Moving your body is powerful as it enables you to become more connected with your spiritual self. And the divinatory meaning says be aware of your physical needs. Get to know what areas of your body require attention. Set out to increase your physical strength. This is not a time for you to put yourself down or to focus on anything you may feel is negative about your body. It is time for the powerful reclamation of your physical self, of your whole self. Actively work toward the best health possible. Dancing is also highlighted. Enjoy some music, relax, and let the energy flow as you move your body. Yes, yes, yes. So don't focus on anything that you feel is negative about your body. That comes up in one of my other videos. I'm not sure if it was Hathor. It was one of the goddess videos. But I was like, I know we could all pick our bodies apart and we could all list what we don't like. But we're in the beauty season, y'all. You got to pick the thing that you do like about your face or about your body that you think is beautiful and like build on that. So there's a lot of that. Has anyone else, please somebody give me a thumbs up, feeling like you're being called into your body work in a new way? Did that just come up out of the blue, or are people resonating with having to get a little stronger to navigate this world in a healthier way, in a more self-preservation way? I think that's what these particular messages were trying to tell us. Anyone want to pop in and share?
Hey, beloved.
Hey.
So So interesting. So not only is the beautiful energy of Taurus reminding us about staying connected, I had always wanted a membership to the spa, and it is something that I was able to give myself, and has been one of the most healing things I've ever done, because it has really supported in healing my nervous system. You know, just being in that calming environment, having that to look forward to every week. I'm actually going to write about it, because as Black women, you know, it's something that, like I said, was on my vision board. It was, oh, one of these days, and days came, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And now that I'm about to move, it was one of the first things I looked. I was like, where is the spa? I want to make sure, like I told my daughter, I was like, I want to continue my spa life. And she was like, you know what, Mom, I'm so happy for you. Like, so I was like, I want my gym membership and my spa membership. And that was the first thing. That I didn't look up anything else. I looked up that I want to keep my spa membership and my gym membership when I move. That was the number one, you know? And I was like, I'm so grateful. So thank you for bringing that up. It's important that we do holistically take care of ourselves, and not just massages, but truly that deep, self-care. So thank you, beloved.
Anyone else want to share if body work is up for you, or beauty, or taking care of self-care? The only other thing I want to share is the reading for the community. And this one we won't do word for word, but we'll run through it together. Okay, so this is the reading I do for the community, but you can get a personal one for you where I pull the cards for you. And these cards are the Vision Quest Tarot, which when we get to pulling cards, I know some of you like those. This is what we did here. We still did purify, heal, restore, and fortify. Now we're asking for the spark and an additional insight. And above and below, I always look at as outer, external, worldly, public movements. And then below is more private, personal, self things going on. So we're purifying to clean, cleanse, and clear stagnation. So this is a big thing with Taurus, is we can get in ruts, we can get stuck, we can have that energy block and that listlessness, or go into depression because things aren't feeling right and they're not working right and all of that. So let's clean out what's not working. Let's clean out what's not beautiful. Let's open the flow and activate flow, because we have been on hold with, like I said, Mars, Venus, Mercury, back-to-back retrogrades is a lot on our personal system. And then to heal, make whole, and integrate, the trust is son of earth, but I also look at that as self-trust, learning what you need. You know, there's a line in communities that's like, know what you need, ask for what you want, know what you want, ask for what you need. Be clear about these things. But you're coming back into that trust, the trusting of yourself, trusting of your spirit team, trusting of whatever's manifesting or not manifesting. Sometimes we're denied things because they're not really for our highest good, and we're just not quite clear on that yet. So we're definitely making whole and integrating more trust. We're healing that aspect of things. Restore, build, and strengthen. 3 of fire is integrity in this deck. So we're activating that, again, being in that heart, simplifying, natural confidence. You know, when you're just being yourself, owning your truth, walking in your light, that's the way to roll. You have deep clarity and sincerity as you move through, but we're also building up to have more energy, to have more activities, to have more things to do and things like that. So we want to restore that for sure. To fortify and nourish and improve your reliability, your relationship with Father Earth, the masculine part of getting things done, diligent work and stability and discipline. This is all part of our spiritual warrior being activated as well. But here we're going to fortify that strength of, I'm not going to overcommit and underdeliver. You know, I want to be reliable. I want to fulfill my commitments and agreements and things like that, but also demanding that reciprocity and making sure that everyone's clear about those agreements and things. So we're going to fortify that groundedness that Taurus can help us with as well. This is the season for that. Like, what are we creating on top of the base? Where's the base and what are we building on top of it? And then to renew the creative fire, I just had to laugh. Like, creativity, really, y'all couldn't be more clever than this. But this one in particular is daughter of earth. It's not the same creativity as the Empress. It's different. In this case, we are looking at the shadow of clinging to the values of the past. We don't want to do that because we are in such new territory. So you have to look at where you're at, what you're working with, who's around you. The sky pattern's different. We got new cycles being activated. We have a choice in how we respond, but we want to get super creative and do something different, do something new. However you've been doing what you do, give it a little new spark. And the additional, I had to laugh, the additional insight or special message, daughter of fire, is self-actualization. We are going to have to do it ourselves, y'all. That's just the way it goes. So it's the work that you do in beautifying yourself and beautifying your environment or improving your environment and things like that, strengthening and fortifying yourself by doing the beauty days to down regulate your nervous system and make you feel connected again. Then you're a better channel for everything. Right. And so at the same time, we're being inspired with new ideas and stepping onto this new path. All this Aries means you have to lead it. Whatever it is you want to do, you got to lead with that. And then others will follow. You're the opposite of Aries is Libra. The people that are supposed to be there to support you will come on, but they're going to follow your lead, basically. And then above, out in the world, there is going to be some growth and productivity. Thank you, God. But look at, like I said, I keep seeing these little baby shoots of how much we've let go and cleared out in the last year, especially with all the retrogrades and resets that we've been in, inside, outside, upside down, across the board. So we are going to be able to evolve and go to a whole new level as we navigate our new connections and new commitments and things that we want to do going forward. But personally, we're building security internally so that no matter what the world is doing, you're still okay. That's the biggest one for me. And that's a medicine wheel. So it's that balance of the 4 directions, that balance of your 4 parts, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical. There's a balance in the 4 that we like, a stability in the 4. But this is what we're building, especially with Taurus, right? That's the energy of our creature comforts and personal security. How do you define that? What does that mean to you? And so let me see. Did anybody resonate with that one? Yes, Vision Quest is pretty good. This one is a good one for the community. And then if you order your own, I can either use those or the Osho Zen are pretty good for these readings as well. All right, y'all. I will get the energetic support clipped out and posted on the channels and send you your goodies to see where these fixed energies show up for you and where this self-love and self-care needs to be grounded and to use the energies that are coming in. Like I said, that so many things are moving into Aries or into new zones like Jupiter into Cancer and Uranus into Gemini. So many things are going to be in new places that we got to be alert and present, so that we can see what's going on and make good decisions in those moments or respond versus react, right? So things are new doesn't mean they're bad. They're just different. And sometimes there's an adjustment period we got to get used to. This 6 weeks before summer solstice is all we got. This is where we're going to get used to more activity, more energy and moving through your body, more vitality. And then what are the grounding practices that sustain that, right? That we're also cultivating new practices and new routines to support the new vision or the new story or the new identity, whatever's trying to emerge from within you. That's where we're cultivating the container right now. During Taurus Gemini, that's what we're doing. And Gemini is going to help us start thinking outside the box, and it's going to start bringing new people into the fold. You're going to start getting more attention or more interactions with others where you have to be clear in your communications about what you're bringing in. And this is the time, like I said, to cultivate that beauty, get yourself strong so that you can go out and shine, basically. So thank you, everyone. So much gratitude. Happy turn of the wheel. Reach out directly when you need to and join us next time. All right, y'all. Good night. For all my late babies, thank you for staying up so late. Peace and love.